Welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to be looking at a vintage Clifton and comparing that to the modern Lie Nielsen. Stick with me. Alright, so here they are side by side. We have the Lie Nielsen and we have the Clifton. Now the first thing that I want to point out about this Clifton is this is the vintage one. It has the green body, the two-piece chip breaker, which you might be able to see there. We'll get into that later. And then the stamped iron. The Cliftons are still being made. From what I could see online, the body's just black. The chip breaker is one piece, and they don't have this really cool stamp on the iron. I would like to eventually get my hands on one of the ones still being made and compare it to this vintage one. I just don't have that yet. So I wanted to point that out real quick. When it comes to the stats, the Lie Nielsen comes in at 4 pounds 11 ounces. The Clifton comes in at 4 pounds 7 ounces. They are both 9 5/8 long. Width-wise, the Clifton is just over 2.5 inches. The Lie Nielsen is just under 2.5 inches. So not much of a difference there. Now for the body material, the body and not the frog, for the Lie Nielsen. So the body is made out of ductile iron. For the Clifton, it's made out of cast. The Clifton frog is made out of cast. The Lie Nielsen frog is made out of bronze. So if you are going to drop these on the floor, the Lie Nielsen's going to do better. It's just a better material when it comes to impact with concrete. Price-wise, so the Lie Nielsen comes in at $340 plus tax and shipping. The Lie Nielsen shipping is not cheap. The Clifton, this one's vintage, so they are a little bit tough to find in the States. Typically, if you do see them up on eBay or something like that, they can go somewhere between $300 to $350. The Cliftons that are still being made are around $390. So this was one of the reasons that I wanted to do this video, because I hear a lot of people say that Clifton, they're the Cadillac of the plains. They just scream of quality. They just reek of quality. I mean, that's what I hear a lot of guys say, but I don't see them around a lot. So I'm trying to figure out, is it because when somebody gets a Clifton, they keep it? I mean, you see Lie Nielsen's for sale all the time. So why don't we see more Cliftons? Is it because they're in England, or is it because when guys get them here in England, they keep them? I mean, I guess I can say right now, I'm keeping this one. So I don't know, but that's why I wanted to do this, because the price is pretty close. Cliftons are a little bit more expensive, and I kind of wanted to look at why. Now, I know it's not super fair because this is the vintage one, but most of the guys that I talk to say the vintage one's better than the one that's currently being made. So I don't know. I'll leave that up to your discretion. So let's take a look at these. This one is the Lie Nielsen.
Clifton. Look at the caps. The irons and chip breakers.
So both irons, they're both 1/8 inch thick. I know it's weird because the Lie Nielsen looks like it's thicker, but it's not. Let me take these apart and I'll show you, but I do want to show you this cap. So Lie Nielsen has a one-piece cap. The Clifton has this really neat two-piece cap. So there's the side views of it. So this piece right here just comes off. So then you can flatten the back, sharpen your iron, and then when you slap this thing back on, it's exactly where you left it, which I love this. And this was actually Record, I believe the 1930s line of Record planes, the ones that have the SS on the cap, they have this two-piece chip breaker, which I love this. I like this a lot. It keeps it square because of this indent right here. And then this pin right here also keeps it exactly where you want it to be. So that's a huge perk to me, that I don't have to take this completely apart each time and then, reset it and make sure it's set right. And I love this thing. And it sits on there really nice too.
I don't know how to hold this piece and show you guys at the same time. I'll try to. There we go. So there's the chip breakers. I love the stamp on there too. Lie Nielsen Clifton. Yeah, so look at that. I just think that's cool. They both have the bedrock front. frog design. I'm gonna take these apart and I'll show you. Here's the bed. Bed on this one.
Side by side here, the Clifton, as you can see in here, has a little bit of a wider mouth than the Lie Nielsen does. But I didn't find that to be an issue because you can adjust the frog.
Here are the two frogs. It actually looks like the Clifton has more of a surface area. See that? Get this way too. See that? More contact there. Get more support. I like this here. I don't know why. I just like how that wheel is. See that? Okay, should use that. I'm gonna take the knobs off. There's that Lie Nielsen Clifton. This does have washers in here. There we go.
So these are cherry. This one I believe is Babinga. They are pretty much the same size. The Clifton might be a little bit narrower and taller compared to the Lie Nielsen there. They both have adequate support for the knob. This is more like the Stanley style, and then Lie Nielsen, what they did is they just flattened it and raised it up versus this having a recess for it to sit in. I don't think it makes a big difference when it comes to performance. Clifton, Lie Nielsen. What I like about the Clifton here is if for whatever reason you break these and you want to make a replacement, this is fully threaded. So if you need to shorten it, you can cut it and then change it to whatever size you need. When it comes to these ones, you don't have much range. I mean, you still probably can, but with this one you could too. Here are the totes. I actually really like how comfortable the Clifton is. The Lie Nielsen just has a little bit too pinchy in here. Just with the shape of that. I just feel like it's a little bit, I don't know how to explain it. Because it doesn't have that extra lip up here, your hand doesn't feel cramped. And if you want to grab the whole tote like I tend to do, you're fine. With the Lie Nielsen, it's got this extra bump up here. So, there's those two. Let me see if I can stack them and show you. It actually looks like the Clifton has more of a forward lean than I thought it would. Which is nice. You want the forward lean, but there's that.
Both have adequate support, of course.
Alright, so parts-wise, they both look really good. All of these different parts look pretty similar. They both have a lot of support. So what I want to do now is go ahead and get the iron sharpened up and put them to the test and see what they feel like. I mean, I've used both of them already, but I want to try to put it on camera so you guys can see and hear and whatever. Stick with me a moment. I forgot to mention something about these. I already got them sharpened up and put back together, but if you'd watch the other videos, you'd see that the Lie Nielsen has ribs on the side of the body of the plane so that the frog sits in there square. Clifton has the same thing. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright, so I'm trying new camera angles because normally I have you up looking over, but my bench isn't stable. So I'm going to try you guys over there. I got both of them ready to go. I do want to point out, I know I had mentioned this wax before. It's the Cottrell. He makes furniture wax and then he makes plain wax. And this set, we got it down now. This is absolutely the final one. In all of the tests we did, this thing was lasting way longer than any of the other brands that I've tried before. So I don't think his email is ready, or excuse me, his website is ready yet, but I'll put a link down in the description to his email if you want to order some of that. So let's go ahead and we'll start with the Lie Nielsen. off camera, so I got to get used to that. So it's taking butter. Oh, I'm way off camera. There we go. It's taking good shavings. Really smooth. I mean, everybody knows that Lie Nielsen is one of the top of the line brands. Let's switch over to the Clifton now, my green beast. Oh, I didn't put wax on this one. There we go. Look at that. Do you guys get the staticky shavings?
Nice.
The Lie Nielsen, I can tell, has a little bit more of a camber on the iron because it's taking thinner shavings. I actually think I got the Lie Nielsen iron a little bit sharper. Just from the feel of it. I don't know if you guys will be able to tell in the sound. I feel like I got this iron sharper than I did that one. Yeah, definitely. So there you have it. I'm going to do my best to explain, because I get it now. I get why they call it the Cadillac, and I'm going to do my best to explain that. I've recorded so many times that I'm over it. You're going to get what you get. The Clifton is vintage. The Lie Nielsen is modern, still being made. Performance-wise, they're the same. Fit and finish, they're the same. Slop, chatter, backlash, they're the same. And that right there is what makes it the Cadillac, because the Clifton is vintage, the Clifton is old, the Lie Nielsen is new, the Lie Nielsen has better machining equipment, but that Clifton back then, they did amazing work, and that's why they consider it the Cadillac. The other reason is because they took a lot of different plane ideas and plane designs and combined them into one. So they took the Bedrock Frog design style, the chip breaker is the old record one. With the Lie Nielsen, I have a video about this, they literally just copied the Stanrock. They copied the Stanrock. They copied the Bedrock 604 and changed the metal types. The measurements and everything like that, they're the same, so they didn't change anything. So that's the other reason that it's the Cadillac, is they were kind of pioneers in the field, bringing all these ideas together to make a really good hand plane. I did a lot of testing off camera, but I didn't want to bore you guys with me just taking shavings and shavings and shavings. In the performance that you guys did see, yes, the Lie Nielsen iron was sharper than the Clifton. That's 100% on me. I should have spent a little bit more time on the stone. So if it looks like the Lie Nielsen is smoother, that's why. The iron was sharper. But as you saw with the Clifton, I was still able to take amazing shavings, and I was still able to take the iron out and shave my arm. So that, to me, it's just amazing. It's just awesome. It's just really cool that a plane that old was machined and made and thought through that well. The other thing is, in all of the testing that I did, I like the weight distribution of the Clifton better. I can't show you guys that in camera, but the weight was more centered, where with the Lie Nielsen, it feels a little bit more forward heavy. It's going to be a preference thing. The tote and knob, I like that better on the Clifton because it just fit my hand better. With the Lie Nielsen, because of that last forward arch that they have at the top, it pinches these fingers for me. Again, it's going to be a preference thing. If you can find a Clifton, if you can find one of these green vintage ones, I highly recommend grabbing it. They are tough to find out here because they were made in England, are made in England. I am hoping to get a modern Clifton. They're just more expensive than the Lie Nielsen, and that's a lot of money to just buy it for a comparison video. But if I find one, definitely keep an eye out for that video because I'm really curious to see, did they keep everything up? Did they keep it as the Cadillac? With the fit and finish, with the choices that they made, that kind of stuff. So whichever one you guys pick, you're going to be happy with. I can't say that, again, that one did better than the other. They perform the same. And for one being old and one being new, that's why it's a big deal. So if you guys have any questions, any comments, concerns, anything like that, feel free to let us know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe this video. We are getting closer to 1,000 subscribers, which is kind of the goal. I'm hoping to do that by the end of the month, so we'll see how it goes. And you guys have a good one. Thank you.